If people always tell you that you're resilient, mature, or the person who has it all together, you should be worried. In psychology, there's a dark side to being a strong adult. It usually means you weren't allowed to be a weak child. Most people look at a survivor of a difficult childhood and see a finished product, someone who is independent and capable, but they don't see the cost. They don't see that your personality isn't built on preference, it's built on survival. Today, we're going to audit the internal architecture of someone who went through too much before they were ready. We all know about fight or flight, but there's a fourth response that most survivors live in every single day: fawning. If you grew up with unpredictable or volatile caregivers, you learned that the only way to stay safe was to become a mirror. You became an expert at reading the micro shifts in a room, the way a door closes, the tone of a hello, the silence between sentences. You don't just people please because you're nice. You do it because, as a kid, predicting someone else's mood was a life-saving skill. Now, as an adult, you struggle to even know what you want because you've spent 20 years prioritizing what they need. Then there's the "I've got it" mentality. In trauma psychology, we call this hyper-independence. To the outside world, you look like a high achiever. You're the one who never asks for help, the one who handles every crisis alone. But this isn't a personality trait, it's a trust wound. You learned early on that the people who were supposed to be your safety net were either the source of the danger or too overwhelmed to catch you. So you decided that needing someone was a liability. Now you're successful, but you're exhausted because you've built a fortress so strong that even the people who love you can't get in. Have you ever noticed that your childhood feels like a movie you only saw half of? You remember the flashbulb moments, the big fights, or the specific smells, but the rest is just gray. This is dissociation. When a child's environment is too stressful, the brain unplugs the cable to protect the hard drive. You survived by leaving your body. The problem is, you're still doing it. You zone out in meetings, you feel numb during big life milestones, and you have a hard time feeling present even when you're safe. You aren't lazy, you're bored. Your brain is just still trying to protect you from a threat that hasn't existed for a decade. The cruelest part of going through a lot is that the person who hurt you eventually leaves, but they leave their voice behind. We call this the introjected critic. It's that voice in your head that tells you you're lazy when you rest, or stupid for making a tiny mistake. You think it's your own thoughts, but it's actually a copy-paste of the criticism you heard as a child. You became your own harshest guard so that no one else could hurt you first. You're overachieving to prove that voice wrong, but no amount of success ever seems to quiet it down. If you recognized yourself in this audit, here is the truth. You were a child who was forced to be a hero, and that's a heavy burden to carry into adulthood. But you don't have to be a survivor forever. You're allowed to be average, you're allowed to be needy, and you're allowed to stop scanning the room for danger. If you want to understand the other side of this, how this trauma affects your IQ in your social life, watch the high IQ video next. It explains why your intellect might actually be another wall you built to stay safe.